Ladies and gentlemen, we have another one. Oh, yes, we have another one. We have another exciting fight on our hands. I'm talking about this fight right here. Yeah. This fight right here. This fight right here has the potential to be the biggest fight on the entire card this Saturday evening, live on Fox pay-per-view. And I'm talking about the fight between Caleb Sweet Hands Plant and Anthony the Dog Dirrell. This fight is going to be so electrifying that it's going to make the fans think that there's two main events. You want to know why the fans are going to think that? Because that's exactly how this fight is advertised. It is advertised as the co-main event. And that's why the fans are going to be reminded that this entire card that the promoter and matchmaker through PBC put together, this entire card is stacked. But this fight right here, this fight right here, this fight has the potential to make the fans enjoy a great night of boxing, including the undercards and, of course, the main event. Let's get into the fighters and how these fighters can win this fight. Let's start with Caleb Sweet Hands Plant. Caleb Plant is 6 feet, 1 inch tall. He has a 74-inch reach. He's 30 years old. His record stands at 21 wins, 1 loss, and 12 of those 21 wins have come by way of knockout. He represents the Ashland City area of Tennessee. He is the former IBF super middleweight champion of the world. He is trained by a very, very good trainer. And the name of his trainer is Stephen Breadman Williams. And y'all know where he's from. He's from the city of Philadelphia. And there's a significant reason why I'm mentioning his trainer. And I'll get into that reason in just a second. And he's going to be fighting his opponent, Anthony the Dog Dirrell. Now, Anthony Dirrell, whom is the brother of Andre Dirrell, who is also a former professional boxer. Anthony the Dog Dirrell stands at 6 feet tall. He has a 74.5-inch reach. He's 37 years old, and he holds a record that stands at 34 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, and 25 of those 34 wins have come by way of knockout. And he represents his birth city of Flint, Michigan. And he is the former 2-time WBC he's the 2-time WBC super middleweight champion of the world. And he's trained by a very, very good trainer also, the great Sugar Hill. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning the trainers of these former world champions is because both trainers have the credibility, the skill, and the experience to be a part of this event training these two athletes. because not only are they training two of these athletes who are former world champions, but they also have a history of training other world champions. And not just training other world champions, but those other world champions that they trained have overcome obstacles, made adjustments, and even won fights. Let's start with Stephen "Breadman" Williams. Let's take one fight where we saw his skill level as a trainer on display. And that's when he trained another former world champion from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Julian J. Rock Williams. And how Julian J. Rock Williams responded to the instruction of the trainer, Stephen "Breadman" Williams, when they went into the lion's den, when they went into the backyard, when they went into enemy's territory against Jarrett Hurd and defeated him and went home with the world championship belts. And let's take another great trainer that's training Anthony the Dog Dirrell, Sugar Hill. We've seen time and time again where his skill set has been on display in fights. But let's just take one most recent notable fight where Sugar Hill trained the new unified heavyweight champion of the world. And I'm talking about the WBC and the ring and lineal world heavyweight champ, Tyson Fury, in his last fight with Deontay Wilder. In fact, his last two fights with Deontay Wilder, Sugar Hill was in the corner, and the fighter responded to the instructions of Sugar Hill in the gym and, of course, in the actual fight. And guess what happened? Just like the great fighter and former world champion J. Rock Williams did, Tyson Fury, he did the same thing by dethroning a world champion and going home with the championship belt around his waist. And so we have two reputable, skilled, great trainers in both of these fighters' corners. And I believe that that's going to play a major role in the outcome and even in the performance of both fighters in this particular fight. Yeah. This particular fight. This fight right here. Now, they seem like they're a little bit even on paper when it comes to their height and reach. And they both are 30 and up. But what Caleb Plant is going to have to do is he's going to have to live up to his nickname to win this fight. His nickname is Sweet Hands. And he is going to have to perform with sweet hands in the ring by being technical against Anthony Dirrell. He's going to have to use his boxing fundamentals, ring generalship, and his good jab that he has to keep Dirrell honest and stick and move. Get back behind his stick, fire the right hand, go inside, and get right back out. And if he can maintain that pace throughout the duration of this fight, he has a great possibility of winning this fight. And I am including the instructions from his trainer. And I must add this. I would be remiss if I did not include the fact that Caleb Plant and Anthony Dirrell have been going back and forth in interviews, at the press conference, and I'm sure tomorrow night they're going to go back and forth at the stare down and the weigh-in. Because it seems like this fight is personal. According to Anthony Dirrell, he really doesn't like the guy, Caleb Plant. But needless to say, all of that aggression and hostility that both fighters are displaying outside the ring, that's what make this fight interesting enough where if you include that hostility into the ingredients, now we can cook up a more competitive, tough, gritty, tactical, or technical fight come Saturday night. And now, let's get to his opponent, Anthony the Dog Dirrell. Now, of course, as I mentioned, he's trained by the great Sugar Hill. So whatever strategies that they've worked on in the gym, in training camp, he's going to have to implement that. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it is very widely known in the sport of boxing that Sugar Hill has a history of being an offensive minded trainer first and then defense second. And why is that significant in this fight? It's significant because Anthony Dirrell is going to have to be aggressive in this fight. He is going to have to be offensive minded in this fight. In other words, he's going to have to do the same thing Caleb Plant is going to have to do in this regard only, and that is to live up to his nickname also. The Dog. Anthony Dirrell is going to have to be the dog in this fight. He's going to have to be aggressive in this fight. And I'm not talking about aggressive to the point where he's getting tagged and getting hit and getting countered. I'm talking about effective aggression, where he's walking Caleb Plant down, where he's walking Caleb Plant to the corner and digging to his body, where he's walking Caleb Plant down to make Caleb Plant keep his back on the ropes so that he can throw combinations and so that he can be offensive minded. Because Anthony Dirrell is 37 years old and the clock has been known to tick on older fighters in this business. And so most people have already written Anthony Dirrell off because of his age in the past. And you don't have to take my word for Anthony Dirrell being written off, because if you look at the betting odds on this fight, even the bookies are writing Anthony the Dog Dirrell off, because he is actually a 7-1 underdog in this fight. And so he's not being given an opportunity to win this fight by the bookies, by some of the media, by some fans. And Anthony Dirrell has to utilize all of those discouragements to his advantage as motivation to be the dog in this fight. Because if he can be the dog in this fight and back Caleb Plant up without getting countered, without getting sweet hands put on him a lot in this fight, he can come out and beat the odds. And I'm talking about the betting odds as well. And if he followed the instructions of his trainer, Sugar Hill, and make adjustments inside of this fight, plan B, plan C, if necessary, he will have the opportunity to win this fight. Let me add this. This fight is a WBC super middleweight title eliminator. So the winner of this fight has a great chance of competing, if not in the next fight, probably the fight after that, for contention for the WBC super middleweight title. And so both of these former world champions have what it takes to win this fight. Because this fight right here, this fight right here might steal the whole show.